Let me preface this by saying I don't hallucinate, nor am I psychotic. This has been bothering me since it happened a couple years ago. Before this incident, I used to leave the door to my room open, which has a full-length mirror fastened to it. I went back upstairs one afternoon to grab something from my room. The lights were off upstairs, but it was still daylight outside, so there was a sufficient amount of light coming in through the windows. As I was walking the last few steps up to the third floor, I glanced into the mirror that was on my open door. It appeared that behind me, crawling up the stairs, was a pale, thin girl wearing either a dirty white dress or oversized t-shirt. She had long, stringy, black hair that was greasy and plastered across her head, so that I couldn't clearly see her face. You know what? She dead-ass looked like something straight out of The Grudge. Of course, I turned around to look down behind me and there was no one there. I haven't left my door open since. I like to think that I was just imagining things, as I never saw anything before or after this event. Last night I was at a really low point of my life. I don't know what prompted me to say this, but I asked Satan to make a deal with me. I felt the presence of him in my dark room, but I assumed I was being paranoid because I've never been the type to believe in stuff like that. But after that interaction I've started to get the things I said I wanted. I wish I never said anything because I feel a part of him in my soul, as if I'm not fully me right now. I remember specifically writing down something really important about that interaction in my notes app, but for some reason later that night I forced myself to delete it. And then shit got really fucking weird that night. I started chanting a song to lyrics I've never heard before, and doing this weird ass demonic dance for someone. It genuinely felt like I was going insane, because I had no control of my body. Looking back at it, it sort of felt like I had to give some form of tribute to whatever the fuck was there. I'm really scared, and if anyone has any sort of idea what happened to me, please reply. My apartment has been known to experience weird paranormal activities, and all my friends that have came over have also mentioned there's weird energy in there. I was in my room in my bed about to go sleep when I kept hearing shit. Like voices. I heard someone scream my name in the distance and I thought it was my mom, but it obviously wasn't. I thought I was going crazy, and then I seen my reflection in the mirror. It was me, but it was walking around with a flashlight. I was laying in my bed still. It was walking around like it was looking for something, and then it kinda crouched and flashed the flashlight in my eyes when it seen me looking at it. I closed my eyes and covered my head under the covers, but my hair was sticking out. I felt a gentle tug on my hair, didn't hurt at all, in fact it tingled like when someone plays with your hair. My whole head and back was tingling. It was a hard enough tug that my head jerked back, though. I uncovered my head and I seen a trace of it vanish in the air beside me. It was no longer just in the mirror. It was right by me when it jerked my hair. All I seen was the trace image of my shirt it was wearing vanish in the air. What does this mean? I wasn't scared, just in disbelief. That's why I kept closing my eyes and covered my head to see if it would disappear, because I thought maybe I was hallucinating. I'm sure now that my brain wasn't playing tricks on me, though. I've also heard that mirrors on exterior walls of homes can be portals, and mine is on the exterior wall. That's also the side I heard the noises outside come from. Since I wasn't terrified, I'm not sure if it was evil or not. Does anyone have any answers? I was hiking the Appalachian Trail back in about 1980 something. I'm from Virginia. It was around lunchtime and I walked past this rough-looking man dressed like it was the 1890s to 1910s playing the banjo softly. He offered if I would like to take a rest at his fire. So I sat next to him to rest, and without looking at me he says, "You don't belong here." I'm confused, so I say, "What?" They've been watching from the trees for a long time, so I look around and see nothing. He then says, "You be careful where you wander." I then got up and left. Fast forward to that night, I had my tent set up and I'm in my bivy sack hearing whispering noises. I thought I was just hearing things. I had a few drinks before bed. After a few minutes I had enough, so I get out of the sack but not my tent. Listening in the trees, I hear something walking closer to my campsite. Now I'm really fucking terrified. So I grab my knife. I had a shotgun but it was outside leaning against a tree. I walk out of my tent to try to find my gun. As I do this I hear it. This horrible ear-piercing screech from out in the distance. So thinking that I am in danger, I grab my gun, sling it over my shoulder and climb a tree, sitting up in the branches with my gun in hand. I then see something in the trees. I didn't know what the hell it was, but it was big, white, and scary as all hell. So I say, "Oi, whatever the fuck is out there, back the fuck away and leave or I will shoot you." I got no response from this thing, but then it fucking laughed. I was practically shitting myself, so I hop out of the tree and grab my backpack and my bottle of Jack and run the fuck out of there. I didn't know what else to do, but it's safe to say I'm not going back to those woods without a rifle by my side. Being a starseed is great, especially to know who I am. But, now what? I just want to be of use to the world. And I understand I have to take that leap myself. But I don't really know where exactly to start. And if something is my destiny, would I know about it internally? I can't seem to reach my spirit guides. I don't know what the next step is it take. I don't know. I'm not trying to sound negative, just I'm a little discouraged. I want my life to start. And I sort of just feel like I'm drifting in the simulation, waiting for the day I'll know what to do. New to the group, so wanted to share an experience I had back in the spring of 2018. I have had a few what could be considered paranormal experiences in my life, but this was the most recent and unnerving. I am an avid outdoorsman and love to hunt and camp around the Francis Marion and Sumter National Forest. Back in 2018, I took my young son and dog out to a remote area in the National Forest to test out a new camper shell on my recently purchased truck. We found a secluded area off a dirt road, made dinner, and then packed it in for the night as soon as it got dark. Around 11 p.m. at night I sat up and looked out the back of the truck due to my dog growling. In the distance I saw what looked like hundreds of small white balls of light darting around, then hovering for a few seconds and slowly converging to our campsite. They looked just like the dust orbs you see on videos, but these were producing light in a completely dark forest. They soon surrounded my truck. Seemed like hundreds of them. They were a soft white light, and they didn't blink. Lighting bugs were out early evening, but those were yellow and blinking. After 30 minutes of them floating around and concentrating around us, I finally worked up the nerve to open the truck and lit a lantern, and they promptly disappeared. After turning off the lights and locking back up, they came back. My son was fast asleep, thank goodness. I watched them until I finally fell asleep around 1 a.m. The next morning when we tried to leave, the battery was dead on the new truck. There wasn't any lights in the back cab where we would have used any power. A week later I had to replace the electric control module. Not sure if that is relevant info, but thought I would add it. I live on a 13-acre property in an area of my state where the suburbs turn to rural farmland. My parents live in the main house near our road, while my fiancé and I converted one of the barns on the back half of the property into our house. Our house and another barn are set in a pretty wide clearing/pasture, but beyond that we're surrounded by woods on 3 sides. All of this is to say we don't get many visitors out here. From the time we moved into the house almost a year ago, there have been some occasions where I get this inexplicable feeling of terror while outside at night. I've lived in the woods my whole life, including in places far, far more remote than here, but I've never had this feeling. The woods are home in every other place I've lived. They've felt like my woods. But not here. I've repeatedly had the feeling that I'm trespassing on someone else's land. Someone who is not happy to have me here. The other night I took my dog out for his last walk. It was around 11 p.m. so it was pitch black outside the ring of light cast by the floodlights on the side of the house. As I was walking towards the edge of the tree line where my pup likes to do his business, I heard a sound like someone imitating the hoot of an owl coming from the direction of the other barn about 30 yards away to our right. I was so certain that it was a human making the noise that I called out, "Haha, very funny, Dad." I assumed it was my father closing up the barn for the night and he was taking the opportunity to try to spook me. No one called back. It was at this point that my dog lifted his head from sniffing all over and froze, staring in the direction of the barn. His hair stood up along his spine and he started to give a low, menacing growl. Now this dog is obsessed with all people and animals. Everyone is a friend waiting to be made. I've never seen him act aggressively toward anything, even other dogs that have tried to bite him. My dad especially is his favorite person on the planet, so there's no way he would have started growling at him. It was my turn for all the hair on my neck to stand up as a cold wave of fear hit me like a brick. My dog had stopped right at the edge of where the light met the darkness of the woods. Normally, the light gradually dissipated into the trees, still providing enough visibility to see the outline of trees and shrubs, but this time it ended with a solid wall of black. Suddenly, I heard the same fake owl sound from only a few feet away, just on the other side of the darkness. My dog jumped and immediately started barking, putting himself between me and the sound. He's only a little guy, so I darted forward, scooped him up, and took off running toward the house. Behind me, I heard the sound again, but this time it had a strange warble to it, almost like laughter. The next morning when I went out to check on the barn, I found that the doors had been partially broken off the slide and were swung past each other the wrong direction, like someone had tried to force them open the wrong way. There were no signs of footprints in the sawdust or dirt, or any other signs of an intruder. I have no idea what was out there that night, but suffice to say, my dog and I stay well within the floodlights when we go out after dark now.
Looking for something to meet your photonic need? Redlight has laser diodes, remote-controlled rooms with lasers mounted on them, USB chargeable laser pens, rechargeable lithium-ion batteries, high-powered lasers that can ignite matches, cat toys. Hell, if you got enough money, they'd probably sell you a Jewish space laser. Welcome to Radlight. Point with precision, present with confidence. Visit us at radlight.dev. Tell them the Atomic Shaman Sweat Lodge sent you.
Mosey on down to the Atomic Shaman Trading Post. We have t-shirts, decals, refrigerator magnets and other swag for sale. What better way to show your support for the show? Our merch can only be found on t.pub/lit/Atomic Shaman Trading Post. Like, share and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to ring the notification bell. You can follow us on Twitter at Motel and RV Park. Catch the live streams on Rumble. Listen to text-to-speech stories on Atomic Shaman TTS on YouTube.